Okay, welcome back. This is my second video. This is the embarrassing moment on the topic of today being an unsettling day. I just talked about investing in Dan Bolton's membership group, whatever you call it. Um, the other thing that happened was, and so like when you make a mistake, when you fuck up, and you know you did, it is so embarrassing to admit it, you know? And so anyway, I'm gonna try to. I think I might post this, so I'm gonna try to not give too many details. But anyway, I went on this coffee date with a girl last weekend. We ended up getting into some kind of deep conversation, um, and she was sharing some vulnerability and openness about her family, kind of close circle. I'll leave it at that. And my like coaching brain kicked in, and so what that means is that half of it means just following my curiosity and asking questions and like, oh, why is that, or like, oh, why do you think that, and whatever else. But the other half of that coaching brain is like knowing that people struggle with action. And if you watch the end part of video that I just made, walking back and forth talking about the Dan Bolton, it's like I struggle with action, and part of what makes coaches so good is the accountability and the ability to like force action. Um, and so anyway, my like coaching brain triggered, if you will, and um, yeah, I don't know what context to give here. Maybe I'll leave it at that. And I was like, um, I pushed her to take action. It's like we're like whatever 20 30 minutes deep in the conversation, and I pushed her to like um, to not just like sit in the ideal land, but actually take an action. And I walked away from that, and I was like, I don't know, maybe a little bit risky, um, but I couldn't quite read her if it was like a wow, I've never gone this deep with somebody on a first date, which is something that I've heard before from somebody else. So it's like not out of the realm of possibilities that that's true. Um, that being the positive, or the negative being like I don't really feel comfortable doing this. And so I was like, I think it might be the first, but I don't know, I'm not entirely sure. Um, but anyway, I was going with the intention of being helpful, being valuable, and showing that I care. And and so this morning, I was walking back from the coffee shop, and I was like, oh, sent her a voice message. And I was like, how, like, do you have any updates? Like, how did it go? And she was like, I don't feel like talking about it anymore. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. And she said something like, um, this is where it gets embarrassing. um, like I don't remember exactly what she said. It was like it didn't feel great, um, and it kind of came across as like you trying to fix me. Um, and she was like, I'm happy to be open and vulnerable, but as long as it's like mutual and not like a I'm your project type of thing. And I was like, okay, then we fucked up there. and um, and obviously that wasn't my intention. So I was ChatGPTing using the nonviolent communication by Michael Rosenberg method of communication, which is basically like talk about observation, feeling, needs, and request, kind of in that order. It's a way to like try to de-escalate emotional situations, I guess, if you will. And I basically said like, I don't remember what I said. It was like, that wasn't my intention. I think I said, I appreciate you being honest. I got into that conversation because I felt genuinely curious, and like I sent the message because I was trying to connect deeper and show that I cared. But I can see how that might have come across as like unbalanced or, you know, a bit exposing for you. And so I was like, I'm happy to steer clear from that topic. And she responded. She was like, I really appreciate this message. And I was like, wow, that it kind of worked. I don't know where it's at now because I'm waiting for a second response. But she was like, I appreciate this message. And she was like, I'm trying to, like, I want to grow and like be open and grow and learn. But she said something like, it's not it, but it was like, I don't feel comfortable, or it doesn't feel too great sharing this based on like the current vibe, which took me a second to realize, but it was like, basically the context is like, we hadn't really been going any deeper after that conversation. It was just like surface level kind of messages back and forth. And so I was like, okay, I understand. Like this message was like kind of out of the blue for her. And so that's kind of what I said. I was like, okay, I understand. You know, you know, looking back, I think I said, looking back, like we hadn't really gone deeper since then. And so this message kind of seemed out of the blue. And I was like, if you want to grab coffee, I'm down this weekend. So anyway, that's like what happened. But as I was like going through this kind of like fighting fires mindset and like, oh shit moment, I was reflecting on the actual conversation. And this is kind of why I left some of the context out. But it's like, I remember specifically thinking like, I don't remember the exact thought, but it was like, can I help her take action on this during the conversation? And I pursued that, and I was like, I'm not going to share exactly what I said, but I was like, would you feel comfortable doing this? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, so like, do it, essentially. And obviously it didn't, I didn't say it like that. But the more I thought back to that moment, I'm like, I knew in the moment, like it was a risky thing to do. And I thought it might come across as like, wow, thank you for the like direction. And, but it didn't turn out that way. And so, yeah, now I just look back on that and like cringe and feel so bad and embarrassed for saying that and doing like, I was like, I was journaling after it. I was like, look, if you're in a situation where it's appropriate to be a coach. And like, I was talking with a guy here, it's like fitness coach, and he came to me and he was like, can you help me, basically? And through that conversation, I did a very similar thing. It was like, I pushed him and I was like, if you're comfortable doing like 5 reels a week, like why not do 30? And he was like, hey, yeah, fair enough. And I was like, could you come up with 30 ideas? And he was like, oh yeah. So I was like, do it. Like right now, open up your phone and write down 10. And obviously like my tone right now is just a little bit like harsh. And so it's a little bit more nuanced in the moment. But my point being, like, I did a fairly similar thing. And like that, he was like, wow, this was like transformational for me. But as I was writing this down, I was like, if you're not in a coaching situation and like you're first off, talking to a girl who's not in that frame, and second, like on a date, like what are you doing? Like that, this is not, and especially like on a first date, like what are you doing, so feeling very disappointed in myself, but at the same time it's like, make a mistake, fuck up, learn from it, and move on. And I think in the follow-up I did the best that I could, and I learned how to actually apply the nonviolent communication principles, talking about observations, feelings, needs and requests. So anyway, yeah, you fuck up, but that's okay. You learn from it and you move on and you get better for the next one. So anyway, thanks for listening if you made it this far. I'm gonna go to Nirvana and sweat out all of my problems. See ya.